Hey there, BookTube. I'm making one more quick video for the day. I wanted to talk about this City by Clifford D. Simek. I'm not talking about the entire book though. I've so far read the first five um, stories in this. Uh, for Sean D. Standfast's read along with the book, I was a little bit late starting it, uh, but I wanted to talk about it. And then I'm going to plan to finish it in the next few days and do another video talking about the last. Uh, I've read the first five stories. There's eight in this book, but my understanding is there's a ninth story that was released in a later edition. So we'll have to see if I can find that. Maybe I will look for it online, or perhaps I know Sean has sent me a link to some of the collected works of Clifford D. Simek, so maybe I'll look into that. But so I should have another four stories to read that I'll be talking about in the next few days. But what is this? For those who don't know, who haven't been taking part in Sean's event, which I would assume most anyone who's watching this probably is familiar with Sean D. Standfast's channel. Uh, this is a collection of short science fiction stories, the bind up novel of these different stories that kind of seem to span a future human history. Now, I one other future history that I love. I'm getting some similarities to. That is the human instrumentality. Sorry, it's the instrumentality of mankind. Actually, I think by Cordwainer Smith, which I just love. Uh, and I've actually read three of the stories in this uh, book so far already before having read it this time. Uh, the second story, Huddling Place, and the fourth story, Desertion, I read. I think it was about. I think it was in 2022 for New World's November, and I loved them both. And I also have read back in 2023 around August or September, I think. I started reading this book and put it to the side, and I read the first two stories. So I reread Huddling Place at that time, so I've now read Huddling Place three times, and I read the first story, uh, which shares the title of the book. It's called City. So actually, only two of the stories that I've read so far during this read through are new to me. But I want to talk about all five of them anyways. The first story, as I said, is called City, and it is kind of a near future relative to when this was written. I think this was written like 60s, and well, it was written in 52. It looks like, but this bind up was created in 52, and some of the stories are older than that. But the story itself takes place in the 90s, so uh, what Clifford D. Simek is imagining the 90s might look like. And it is concerning the kind of disintegration of cities. There is no need anymore for people to live in cities because it's a post scarcity society. There there's no need for vast acres of farmland, and the land is extremely cheap. So people go off and buy their own acres and live on their own. Uh, and this plays on a few themes that I see throughout the next four stories, and which I assume will be played on throughout all the stories. And that is kind of the conflict between traditional uh, human values and something new. and sometimes something new can be good and sometimes it can be bad, and there's sometimes a few different avenues to go in terms of what is new and what is progressive, I guess. Um, and this little story kind of has a microcosm of this, where there are different players within the city who all uh, want something. There are people who have already left, and there is a council who are, this is the city council who are still taking in money but don't really have any citizens. There's some squatters who are living in the rundown towns and who the council and the police force are wanting to push out. Uh, and it's really interesting how it writes this conflict, and I think how it shows the conflict from a variety of sides. I do like this story quite a bit. I actually like all five of these stories, so I'm not going to say that I like them all. The second story is my favorite in the bunch so far, and that is Huddling Place. And it kind of continues with this theme of particularly the people leaving their uh, their large communities to set off and create small individual communities, just a family home, a family acre, uh, and the technology and the society uh, moves along, and throughout this book, it follows throughout these stories, it follows members of one family. So the main character is a descendant of a character who was mentioned in the first story, sorry. But the technology continues. There is uh, instant communication devices that let you see all over the world, talk to anybody, even in space. Uh, so there's very little, again, reason to leave. And the primary conflict of this story is the main character, who is a Webster. This is that family that is extremely significant to these stories, is finds that he's terrified to ever leave his home. He has some advanced form of agoraphobia. He has built up his life in this place, and this is where he's always been for 30, 40 years, and he can't leave. And what happens when something desperately pushes him to leave for the good of the entire universe? He needs to leave. This also adds in some robot characters, a recurring character called Jenkins, and it adds in some Martians who so far have not reappeared. And I'm wondering why. I wonder where the Martians are. Do they just not really? They're not really important to the story. But I want to see more Martians. It makes me sad that I haven't seen any more Martians yet. Um, but greatly enjoy this one. I love the psychological uh aspect of this story. The first story is called Census, and it again continues on with the Websters, although it follows a separate character who is taking a census, and specifically he is trying to track down some mutants. There are people who have started mutating who uh, kind of take the cutting themselves off from the larger group of peoples to the extreme. Uh, these are the most rugged individualists possible, basically. They have no need for society. It's not as if they have their huddling place with their family, it's that they are alone and they have no desire to be around other people. So it takes it even to a further extent. Uh, and there's this world government that is keeping an eye on the mutants, making sure they don't do anything weird or hostile. Uh, it also brings in talking dogs, which on the cover there are a couple dogs, so dogs. And that's actually one of the ideas, again, that I like in this book, is there's all these different kinds of intelligences. And I think another theme is how different kind of intelligences can approach different problems and philosophies and things that are difficult for a human might be uh, a piece of cake for a Martian or a Jupiterian or a dog. And I wonder whether that aspect of the dog, how much that's going to come in, because I haven't mentioned this yet, but the book has little preludes to the chapter, to the stories, where where dog scholars are talking about these stories. These stories are all within the universe. They're believed to be things that are in the mythological past, because humanity is no longer around. And so I'm really curious to see whether it'll continue with that idea of different intelligences having different solutions to problems with the dogs. The fourth story, I kind of mentioned the Jupiterians a moment ago, is called Desertion, and it is all about people on Jupiter who are trying to conquer the unique problems that they're facing on Jupiter, the high velocity winds, the noxious gases, ammonia rain, etc., by transforming themselves into Jupiterian creatures called Lopers. Uh, and again, it also has a dog in it, and it follows a man and his dog who are in charge of sending people out. This one I especially love because it has some beautiful imagery towards the end of the Jupiterian landscape, as seen through the eyes of a Loper, and how through the eyes of a Loper it looks remarkably different because they have different abilities to uh, view different colors and stuff. The final story kind of is a so far a natural climax to several of the ideas that have been building up within the story. It brings a bunch of the characters together from the earlier stories, like Jenkins the robot, uh, the current leader of the Webster clan, Joe, a mutant, uh, and a few others that. The man from the Jupiter story, for instance. And I don't want to talk about this one very much because I do think to really discuss it, you'd have to spoil the earlier stories, particularly the third and the fourth story. Uh, but there was a big kind of conflict between the Webster leader and the mutant and the man from Jupiter, and it's all centered around what humanity should do and what direction they should go. Uh, and I really enjoy it, but I don't want to get too deep into that one just because of the fact that, again, it would be spoiling the earlier stories. But anyway, that's steady. I've rambled enough about this, but if you're reading it, let me know what you thought so far. I probably will be continuing it tonight, and I'll probably finish it within the next few days. But anyways, you have a great day, BookTube. Bye.